Hey guys, it's Miss Hall here. I just wanted to take a minute and talk to you a little bit about what to expect out of your final exam. So, your World Civ Final is actually a North Carolina standardized test. It's called the NC Final Exam for World History, and it will count for 20% of your grade for this course this year. I know 20% seems like a lot, but most of you have done so well this year that this is really just a tiny part of your grade for the whole class. Now, just some basic kind of details about the exam. It's going to have 42 questions on it. 41 of those, so almost every single one of them, is multiple choice. And then you're going to have one, what they call constructed response, which is really the same thing as like short answers that we answer in class. You're going to have a total of 120 minutes to answer all the questions. If you are given additional time through something like an IEP or a 504, of course, that'll be provided as well. And this test is actually a paper and pencil exam, so it's not taken on the computer. You'll have a bubble sheet to bubble your answers, and then you'll have space to write your response for that constructed response, all on paper. None of it will be computerized. You will not need or be able to have devices with you at all on exam day. All right, let's dive in and talk a little bit about the types of questions that are going to be on the test. First of all, they're multiple choice questions, which is what you're used to. There'll be four A, B, C, D answer choices. Those could be a couple different things. They might require you to actually read something and answer questions, kind of like a reading comprehension test. Or ask you to read a historical passage. They may ask you to look at charts and graphs and maps and primary sources and all of those things that we've done in class in order to answer questions. They also might be questions just based on what you know and what you remember from class, and be sort of more specific factual based questions, not based on a source. So some of them will be source based, some of them will be straight questions based on what you've learned throughout the course of the class. Now, the other question, and there is only one of them, is called a constructed response. And it's going to ask you to write, and to write a response that shows that you understand, some of these bigger concepts of social studies. It'll be sort of like the short answer questions that we have in class, but it'll be focused. And we'll look at some samples of both of these to help you get a good feel for what these are going to look like. Now, in terms of the content of the questions, the state actually gives us pretty specific numbers in terms of the percentage of stuff that will be on the test. We don't know what the constructed response will be. It could come from any of these. But in terms of the multiple choice, the ancient civilizations are somewhere between 16 and 20%. Medieval, 8 to 12. Renaissance and Reformation, 8 to 12. Exploration, 8 to 12. The revolutions and rebellions, 8 to 12. The modern conflicts, that's like the world wars, 16 to 20. And then 20th century globalism, which is the stuff we've been talking about in the last couple units, 24 to 27. So that's good news, because most of the larger percentage of this is stuff that we've covered really recently, so it should be pretty familiar to you. All right, that brings me to my last and probably most important point. What should you do? What can you do? How can you prepare? How can you make sure you're ready for test day? And the first thing is complete your study guide. Mr. Drake and I have given you a study guide in Moodle that is very detailed. It goes over all the different units from this class. And completing that and asking questions about stuff. If you don't know what something on the study guide means, what it's about, what it is, you can, of course, look it up. You can go back to your videos, you can go back to class readings and all of that stuff, but you also can ask us, ask questions, get us to help you. Another thing that I always loved to do when I was in school was to get study groups together. Make note cards of the important people and then quiz your friends and make a game of it, or make a slumber party of it. Make it fun for you to review with your friends, but also make sure you're reviewing all of that. It's also important that you make sure you're in class all this coming week, as we're going to be working on these review sessions and going over stuff, and that's your opportunity to ask questions and to talk to us and to make sure you see the sample questions and all of that. And then the last and probably most important thing is that on exam days, you take care of yourself. It's really, really important that you get a good night's sleep. Don't stay up cramming. It'll backfire. You don't want to be falling asleep while you're trying to take the test. You won't be able to focus. It'll be terrible. Get a good night's sleep, at least 8 hours. It's my mom voice. Make sure you eat breakfast, a good breakfast, not a donut. A donut will leave you with a sugar crash where you're again falling asleep and starving. Eat something with some protein in it, and make sure you go to the bathroom. You don't want to be distracted by needing to pee when you're trying to take your exam. So taking care of yourself, eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, super important to enabling you to really focus and do your very best work on this exam. Now, with all of that said, I have no worries about any of you being successful on the test. Mr. Drake and I have prepared you. We have given you all kinds of historical knowledge, and you've shown us through your work in class that you know how to think like a historian. So go out there and rock that exam. Good luck!